Дым от сигарет кружится, как тези споры, тонкий английский лед, под ним кипящее море. Рюмка на полпальца, и где-то усталая печень, но он опять рвется в зал, как будто последняя встреча. Жесткое вино разума обжигает, но будет спящих каждое слово, как выстрел в зал, и не осталось священных щелей, где бы он тихо промолчал. Где-то в Багдаде жара тонет в сарказме и прозе. Он пишет, как режет ножом, по мифам на белой бумаге. В студиях, в старых барах, в маленьких залах кампусов он ставит под роспись богов и веру сдает под авансом. Жесткое вино разума обжигает, но будет спящих каждое слово, как выстрел в зал, и не осталось священных щелей, где бы он тихо промолчал. Тело слабеет, голос сипит, но шутка выходит точнее. Он поднимает стакан и говорит: поверим, кого соберет скорее. Публика держит дыхание, он не дает ей надежд, только упрямая да к сомнению и любви. Исследуй смерть, честное вино разума обжигает, но будет спящий каждое слово, как выстрел в зал, и не осталось священных щелей, где бы он тихо промолчал.
Well, everybody, this is Divided We Stand. If you're unfamiliar with the channel, you can find us on YouTube and you can find us on Facebook. We have a Facebook group page, very, very popular. We ask you to become a member. It is a private page, which means you don't have to worry about any Trumpers being on there. We do have a few people who try to sneak in there. I know we have at least one this week that tried to sneak in, didn't make it. We ask that you join us in the fight. And also, if you're on YouTube and you have a channel, please subscribe to our channel. It is not monetized. That means that we're not looking for money, and it also means that you don't have to worry about commercials. It's kind of like the way YouTube was envisioned before Google took it over. And as many things happen, a good idea is always contaminated by big money, and who knows, the same thing will apply to AI, but that's another story. But do we have a show tonight? Because it's a madhouse in this country. It's a madhouse in the world. And who better to try to solve this problem of the world than our David Price from Arlington, Virginia. Dave, what the hell is going on, and how the hell are you doing?
Well, let's take the second one. It's easier. I'm doing very, very well.
Okay.
As well as can be expected in this time of whatever the hell it is. Okay. It sounds like a joke, but I think it's the only way we can open these shows anymore. Just when you think it can't get weirder, the joke is now, hold my beer, and then something.
Right.
I mean, I don't even know how to respond. We'll work through it tonight. But what it shows in the beginning, and there's only one topic really to talk about tonight, unless somebody brings up something from the peanut gallery there. But what the hell happened at the press club dinner? And I'm not sure I know. I know this: if you were on social media at all in the past 24 hours. We're once again, thanks to your keen idea originally of divided, and we are so divided as a nation, we don't even have a clue.
And no way back.
Yeah, and that's the problem. So let's start here. I think we'll start here. So a little bit about, for those who don't know all the details, and we're not going to give you all of them, but a little bit about the press club. So one of the problems, and I'm speaking as a journalist now, that there's always been, has been contact and closeness. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you don't have contact and closeness to somebody you're covering, you're probably not going to get the story. Somebody else is, right? But there's a danger with that, because then you can get co-opted or put in a position that you don't want to. Well, for years and years and years, as long as I can remember, there have been journalists who say the White House celebration, where you get political people together and the president, it's just bad. It's just bad. You shouldn't break bread with those in a large group that you cover. So the history of it has always been somewhat turbulent. But the way they kind of worked around that was they would have a comedian come in and roast the president.
Right.
And that became newsworthy in and of itself.
Colbert with Bush, that was amazing.
There were some great ones. However, there's a school of thought, and I kind of subscribe to it, that the thing that really pushed Trump into running for president was he was in attendance, and Obama was speaking, and Obama made fun of him, and they said he just was livid. And of course, now, was that the only thing that led him to the presidency? Of course not. But it seems like that was a pretty big factor.
Yes,
so
he's all about personal vendettas, so I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, I mean, and he has no sense of humor that we know of,
right?
And he certainly has no ability to be self-deprecating. I mean, he cannot.
Right, he cannot do that.
He's the opposite of that, right?
Right. I've never heard him ever say anything.
No, he won't.
Self-deprecating.
He won't.
Never.
He can't. He can't. And one of the things that self-deprecation does is it allows you to be a little bit more human in front of people. For example, Ronald Reagan, I do not consider him to be a good president necessarily for the things that he did and the things that he brought on. However, he did have the ability to poke fun at himself. and that was very important. Like just for one example, the quote that he gave to the surgeon right before he underwent the operation for being shot was, "I hope you're a Republican." I mean, that's kind of cool, right? I mean, so he had this ability. Now, granted, he was an actor, but Donald Trump is an actor. I think sometimes we forget that. He's acting as Donald Trump. He has no basis. So anyway, we'll start with what we know. There was, again, a huge protest movement among people who said, don't sit down with this guy. This guy attacks you at every turn, which he does. There's no reason. Secondly, it's not newsworthy because he's going to lie.
Right.
And we know that. You kind of have to cover his press conferences. Okay. I mean, maybe, you have to. I mean, that's just part of what the White House press corps does. But there's some things that have happened there. I know it's easy to say what you would do when you're not there, but I know myself. Had I been there, anytime he attacked one of those female reporters, I wouldn't have struck him because I don't want to go to prison, but I certainly would have exchanged words. So I'm not real keen on the press corps right now in Washington, D.C. I understand it's a hard job. I understand. Take the Washington Post, right? To me, the number 2 paper in the country after the New York Times. And I felt that way for years. They've laid off 300 and lost about another. They've lost 400 reporters since Trump has taken the second office. So they're down maybe to the B team now, maybe even the C team, bringing on young people and trying to, So I don't know how a veteran they are. I think I mentioned before in the show, one of the ways that you got to be the White House correspondent was kind of, if you covered the winning candidate, through the primaries and through the election, then you kind of went there because they figure you've made your inroads, you've got your sources. So it was not a good thing to start with. And at some point, it proceeded to go downhill, proceeded to turn into something like I can't even imagine. Okay. So we'll go into a little bit more detail, but Brian, your first thoughts. Okay. You're kind of speaking for every person when you do this. How did you first find out about it? What did you first think? And did you and Ronnie talk about it?
I don't know I guess last night I was watching something. Hold on. When was it? Was it Saturday night? Did it happen? I mean, or Friday night? I'm trying to think.
No, last night.
Last night. Okay. So I believe I was watching something prior to the hockey game of the Flyers. And my wife was kind of tailing off and going to sleep. And I noticed something on my phone, because I usually toggle between my phone and the TV, and it says something about shots being fired at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And that's when I woke Ron up, and we put the TV on, and then there was nothing really specific that we got out of it. And Ron then said, unless he's, definitely shot, don't wake me up on this thing here, or something like that. The first thing I thought was, wow, this is happening again. This is like the third time. So the first thing that came to my head was, is this real? I don't see the guy, or I don't see anything. There's not a lot of information. In fact, aside from his name and a few pictures and a little bit of information about the guy, I don't really know all that much about the situation. I think I know more about the people who were at the dinner and how they reacted after the shots, rather than, what's happening with this guy. And Dave, I cannot trust anything he says. And, this goes back to when Paul and I did a video on Epstein, when his alleged suicide occurred. I believed it was an actual suicide because I believe there could be mistakes at a prison. And, and I have gone a complete 180 on that. And I'm wondering if I'm going to do the same. I could see that. I mean, there are plenty of people that hate him, and they're driven to the edge, and they do something like that. I just don't know. At least I can say I don't know, Dave. I really, really don't. I wouldn't put it beyond Trump to pull this kind of crap, and I wouldn't put it beyond. There are people who are downright angry at him. I just don't know. You convince me one way or the other, Dave. I don't know what else to say.
Well, that's because there's not much we can say definitive. Okay. And I think anyone who does that, maybe the supposed shooter could shed some light on it. But other than that, I don't know. So, what about the shooter? Well, we know that he was, well, again, conflicting reports, which is not unusual. I know, if you've ever worked in journalism, it's frustrating. But there's two competing ideas in journalism: be first and be correct. Okay. Why do I say they're conflicting? Because it takes time for a story to unfold, whether it's a matter of minutes, hours, days, months, sometimes years. So usually in the initial, you get some bad reports. I always use this as an example, but I think this is a good example for tonight. In the high school where you teach, Brian, in the 70s, when I was a reporter, there were quite a few incidences of racial unrest in Bridgeton. And one time, it was the afternoon, it was a dismissal of school, and we got a phone tip at the office, the evening news office, that all hell was breaking loose. So 3 of us were in the office, so we all went up to the school. Now, you know this, but Brian, I got to describe it for other people. Like many high schools, it has a lobby, but back then it had a lot more students bussed. There were probably, I don't know, Brian, the entire semi, or the horseshoe, I guess you would call it, horseshoe driveway was filled with buses. And then it was also across the street on that edge. So one of us got that assignment. Like that was me. I was behind the buses. So all I could see was what was going on directly from the lobby and a little bit into the buses. Second reporter got in the middle and saw what was transpiring there. The third was on the other side of the buses. And when we came back to the office, we had 3 completely differing stories about what we saw. The only thing we could say is it was indeed a riot, and people were getting hurt, but everything else was a little different, right? Because it depended on where you are. So I bring that up to say, in any instance, it's hard to see everything that's going on. So, what did go on? Well, I guess what we can kind of agree on, a guy with a gun, okay, who's been named, fired 8 to 10 shots, is what I understand, in the direction of possibly where these people were. It was not in the room with them, okay? Apparently he was running toward it and opened fire. I mean, I don't know if somebody opened fire at him first or they opened fire. But here's the amazing thing, Brian. 8 to 10 shots and not a person hit.
Right.
Not a person hit. Now, what are the mathematical odds of that? Very limited. What are the mathematical odds? I mean, you try to capture, but if somebody's shooting at me, I'm going to shoot back. If I'm the Secret Service. I mean, how did they apprehend him? What do you do? Fall down? He's got guns. He's got weapons. As they charge, he can't take one of them out. I mean, I'm glad he didn't, of course. A lot of families slept much better last night. But still, so the first thing is, even before we get to motive of why he did or didn't or might have done this thing, you have to question how do 8 to 10 shots get fired, if indeed that's how many there were? We know that it was multiple shots because people at the dinner were saying they heard multiple shots. Mm-hmm. It is good if you don't want the president assassinated, that he didn't get in the room. I mean, that's good. But now, if the moments there's just so many things, so we'll just kind of randomly go through them. Have you seen the video yet of the moment right before it happens with Trump? Have you seen that?
There was some type of guy, some mentalist or something like that.
Well, here's what happened. As part of the deal, which I find abhorrent, and every newspaper who sent a representative last night, I'm calling you abhorrent, okay? Yes, I am. They didn't want to offend Trump, so instead of using a comedian, they were going to have a mentalist come in for entertainment.
Yeah.
Now, right away, when you do that, you've relegated yourself to kissing ass. What else can you say? Trump doesn't want a comedian. You don't give him one. You kissed his ass. Done. Every newspaper who was there last night, every TV station, every radio station, every independent reporter, I blame them for that. I would not have done that. I don't care. And why do I say that? He's going to lie, Brian.
Right.
You know that. I know that. The reporters know that. Everybody except the people who have their lips puckered 24/7 around his anus knows that. So what's the big deal? You hold it the way you want it, and if he shows, fine. If he doesn't, fine. But they made this compromise. So it's my understanding, and more will come to light, but supposedly it was the mentalist who went up and showed him like a trick thing that he was going to do or something. And Trump looks off like he's in another world. Of course, Trump's not speaking. I don't think he listens when he doesn't speak. And then all of a sudden, you see him sort of some people running in one direction, looked like Secret Service were headed one way, then others got him away from where he was sitting. Okay. So now we look at the others in there, and Brian, I think if you look at this, it really reveals the inner character, which we know is horrendous, of the people around him. They being experts, say that the real way you show your character is in a moment of terror, fear, unease. That's when the real character comes out. Well, let's look at some of the things that happened, okay? Kash Patel runs from the room with a couple of, I don't know, with FBI or his, leaves his girlfriend behind, and the report is she was holding the hand of some other guy. Now, what does that mean? Why do you report it? What the hell is it, right? I mean, was she preparing to have sex with him? I mean, I don't think, but the things that just even the reporting was bizarre. You had one of your favorite people, Steve Miller. I don't know if you saw it. Did you see that? Did you see that video of him leaving?
It looked like he was grabbing his wife's breast.
Well, no, it looked like that too. She's pregnant. It looked like he was using her for a human shield. Now, was he? I don't know. Some people hit the ground. Though my favorite guy, though, is, and I haven't gotten a name on him yet, there's a guy who sat to it all eating his mashed potatoes. Now, that's cool.
And
okay?
some chick was stealing the champagne. I guess she figured it was...
Yeah, that was a number. Well, actually, that's kind of a typical. The interns in Washington, D.C. get paid nothing. So if any of them got in, they're going to take that stuff. So you just had this thing. So, but next, it becomes even more bizarre because there's video, and it does appear to be the president. There's a little curtain open, and he's behind the curtain, and he's watching what's going on. What? They didn't take him out of the building?
Right.
What? Again, question.
And did you see him fall? Did he fall over a mat there that was near him, or did he just fell?
I don't know.
That's a weird thing there too. He just went straight down.
Yeah. Well, we know. He's not physically in the best of shape. Now, Judy asks a great question. Why did they take Vance out first? Mm-hmm. That doesn't make sense, right? Again, that line just keeps. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So, only two possibilities, right? A real incident, a fake incident. America's divided, as it almost always is, a third, and a third. Third, oh, no, that was real. A third, oh, no, that was fake. But what I think was different this time, and I think it shows how fed up many Americans are with him, it took about all of 4 seconds, once the thing was announced, for people to take to social media saying this is fake, this is wrong, this is not real. Now, we have, and this certainly does nothing to ease it, we have a horrible problem in America right now. We can't agree on truth. Now, sometimes you don't have to agree on truth. Sometimes you can't agree on truth. When we get to our more philosophical debates or theological debates on this show, what happens when you die? We don't know. And people think well, that's fine. But if you say people don't die, you have a problem. And that's where we are in America right now, where people will say that's not it. And there's nothing you're going to do to convince them. And we've never had a time, in my lifetime anyway, where everybody said politicians lie. And Brian, that is absolutely 100% true. Do you lie, Brian? Do you lie?
Everybody lies. In fact, you don't even know you're lying half the time. You exaggerate, you half lie,
Right.
white lies.
Sometimes
Sometimes save
sometime-
you in a certain sense.
Oh, no, yeah. I mean, lie. Again, a
There
lie
is a
is a
psychological.
thing.
I'm not suggesting to do it. I think it's a bad
No.
choice. But
Well, sometimes it is. I always come up with this. It's a humorous way of dealing with this when you talk about life. One time in my teenage years, before we drove, we used to hang out some places and we would, drink around a fire or something. And one night we're doing that, and so my best friends were there, and one, Walt, was a little heavy set, and he was, getting a little teary eyed there. He said, do you think I'm fat and ugly? And another friend, Ron, turned to him and says, hell yeah, you're fat and ugly. Now give me a beer. In other words, he told him the truth. Is that really so?
right. I
always
mean, you
laugh
tell
at that.
somebody when they're working all night trying to look good. Do you tell somebody, well, you look like shit? It's
Yeah, so it's not that easy. But what we do know is I don't think Trump, well, let's put it like this. Trump is incapable of telling the truth. He's just incapable of telling the truth. So what does that
Joey,
mean?
I'm watching you. Joey knows that I got caught in a lie when I was in college, and he's
Well,
never
never let
rest.
that go. Well,
Whereas
Joey-
Joey's the king of lies, right, Joe? Only Joey
Well,
knows.
What happens is, though, so back to the political end of it. During my 12 years as a reporter, I got lied to a lot. Sometimes I knew it was a lie. Sometimes I didn't. One of my great moments was the superintendent of the Bridgeton schools at that time, whom I did not get along with at all. Total lie. I knew it was a lie because people on the board, they told me what transpired. And I just walked up and said, sir, you're a liar. I'm not going to print it and show you up, but I want you to know that I know. And in Washington, it's hard to keep a lie down, but it's not anymore because everybody's lying on the Republican side. Now it gets even worse, if it can be, is the fact that a lot of people believe that this was a double promoted inside job, if you will. One was to continue to shift emphasis away from the Epstein files. That's one. But secondly, even if that's not the case, notice what Trump said within a half hour. This is why we need the ballroom, underground ballroom. At the White House.
Right.
Now think about that. Think about that for a moment. Let's assume that he does get it, or he did get it. I will definitely take to the streets if Washington reporters would go to the White House to attend that. This is not, it's not the president meets with the press. It's the press invites the president in on their night. So, I mean, it's fallacious thinking for him to think that that's good. And he also said, Brian, he said, and this is exactly, every president has wanted that ballroom. Well, I can tell you almost with absolute certainty that there's never been a president that wanted that ballroom the way he's building it. There isn't. Again, and you saw a lot of movement today of MAGA people, still deluded, saying, yeah, we need this, we need this. So my point is, it could have been Epstein file, keeping it from staying in the news. It could have been just a way to get the file, get the ballroom built, because the judge has come out and said he can't do it. Now, we know what that means. Absolutely nothing to Donald Trump. But, and even, I hesitate to say this, but I'm going to say it. If it was real, I'm still a little suspicious of the actions of the Secret Service. Somebody pointed out today, I thought was very interesting. The Secret Service kept the first black president and all the hate that we know was there and now know was even more there. They kept him, and this is what, third or fourth time, that there's been questions about their behavior in terms of Donald Trump. Now, Judy just put something up. I saw it flashed around there. How they get the video so quickly. Iran, Brian, Iran's probably in your bedroom right now. What I mean is they're here. They're locked in. That would not be, they know what's going on. That's also, who would think this? Iran has a better sense of humor than our president. Have you seen any of the videos they put out? Cartoons?
Yeah, but I saw one or two. They look like Legos or something like that. I get it. It's back and forth, and I guess they should do it. They're keeping on top of things, but I just don't get into them anyway.
You're genuine. You really feel that Iran is a bad actor, and I think they are.
Yeah, I mean they're hard. Any country with a theocratic government, I have a great suspicion. Number one, and they are just liars. It's just awful. Now it's not the people, of course, I'm talking about, but it's just the country, and it's almost as if the situation's perfect because you have Trump, who's the worst. He's just the most despicable of liars, and you get a government over there that's so oppressive to their own people, and they just lie. They're the extremists. They're almost made for each other.
Here's one for you.
And a stop clock is right twice a day, also. So I understand that, if that's what you're saying.
What I was thinking about is this: if we go to war with Iran, still a possibility. Of course, I will tend to favor America, but it won't be 100% in my case. Because Trump is not, I don't know, Trump also bears.
Which side? You couldn't trust any side. You wouldn't even know what. This is why I say you can't trust anybody. Yeah, no. They deserve each other.
Except we all suffer. I mean, yes,
Of course we suffer. It happens to all people during wars. That's what's been happening since the beginning of time. It's just an unfortunate situation. We're in a terrible situation. And I heard a report we've lost almost 40% of our missile guided missiles.
That is absolutely
true. So what happens
true.
if we go to war with China? It doesn't matter if we're ahead of them in anything. We're done.
Think about what you just said, Brian, and it's very important. What you just said. Have you seen any capitulation on Iran's part? I have not.
No, I think that I will say this. I think that behind the scenes, they know that they in a traditional war, for example, we could destroy them in 20 minutes if we wanted to. I think that's a given. We could do that. You could just carpet bomb. But you don't do that. You can't do that. But we could do that. They know that they cannot. There's in no way can they fight us in any traditional type of war. But they
right.
But they could they could pollute the Strait of Hormuz. They could easily knock out ships because somebody with a grenade could throw something from the banks and do some damage.
Right.
So it's very, very hard to be able to stop them from causing a major problem with economies, and they've done that and very intelligently. So in a certain sense, they've helped us. But I don't know where you go with unless you put boots on the ground, and that I would not agree with, because how are you going to patrol a country 2 times the size of Texas? You don't have robots to do this right now. You have, first of all, you have I'm not saying our army's shit, but it's a professional army, but you don't have enough soldiers. You don't have enough soldiers. This is what Russia's doing. They're just grabbing somebody off the street. They have a horrible army right now. So the choices are very, very bad for us. It's really, really bad. It's either punish them all the way, and again, what I'm getting to is I think in general, the Iranians behind the scenes, they have to do something. If they can't get any money from those ships coming into port, because we're blocking their ports, which was kind of ingenious I'm not saying Trump, but by the military, their economy is just going to, as bad as it is now, it's going to even get worse. And now we're coming up to the summer season, you could have drought. So there is leverage in that. That's leverage, Dave, that we have on them that we didn't have initially. But the thing is, nobody really controls the straits. It's really two sides that can do anything they want. We can stop them from coming into port, and some asshole on the banks of the Gulf can just fire a rocket guided missile and destroy a tanker, and then there you go. You can put the mines. So nobody wins, and I don't think Iran wants to, and I think Trump wants out. Look at the price of gas. At minimum $4 a gallon, right? I'm sure it's something like that down where you are. And of course that
a little bit more
to transportation costs. So Trump is in a very bad position, and Iran knows that. Okay, Iran knows that. So in a certain sense, as much as I don't like Iran, what they're doing is going to benefit me, because the economy is going to sink in this country, and then eventually either the Republicans are going to finally accept it. I think they know it too. I think it's like this. It's this psychosis, Dave, where they get outside of reality and they try to defend. Their brain jumps the shark and says, "Okay, yeah, I know Trump's a liar. Yeah, I know the price is going up. Yes, I know the economy is really, really bad, and he's going to drive it into the ground. But I'm going to convince myself that it's the best thing." And this is why. Have you yet seen any of your Trump friends change? I mean, they've kind of left you, and you've kind of left them. I don't see them changing no matter what.
I would guarantee you, the last batch that I kept, I kind of kept them, like I said, as scientific observation, but it wasn't worth it in the end. No, I don't think. I've not known it. In fact, in all honesty, I've only known one person who started out as a Republican and became an anti-Trumper, and that was while he was running in 2016. Mm-hmm. I don't know of any other. Now there are. I mean, obviously there are. We see some reports on that. Certainly Tucker Carlson, Candace Owen, the whole list there goes on. But they don't have the power that the president has. Now, the point I was making before about the weapons is we spent a lot of money, and we've used a lot of weaponry, and I don't think we've got value for that. I really don't. Now, again, your point is well taken. We could, bomb them back. What was it? Evacuate and bomb and drop the big one, as Curtis LeMay said in Vietnam. But
I am not saying using nuclear. I don't want to suggest that. I'm just saying you could use conventional. And you could put them at their knees.
You could do conventional, but it'd be a lot easier to use nuclear. I mean, if you really wanted
to. But then you're going to destroy everything
within. Do you think Trump,
5,000 miles?
Look, if what they said is true, and again, notice if, which you have to preface it. Apparently, there was a moment when Trump wanted to use nuclear weapons in Iran.
I heard that,
and it's pretty much verified. And the general said no. So my point is, Trump's willing to use it. I don't think there's anything that he would not do.
Let me ask you this, Dave: if he's the commander in chief and he wanted to use them, what is the military going to? I know you've said in the past that you think there was enough people who are going to say no and put the brakes on. I don't know that that's going to be like that now.
Well, no. All I think we can say is that particular day, with the people in that particular room, the military said no. Now, I guarantee you, some of those people that said no will not be there this time next year if Trump is still in power. Mm-hmm. Again, we're back to we don't know. And I think, Brian, your point, again, gets to this point where it's never in my lifetime been questioned about the president being commander-in-chief. It's just accepted, right? The only time there was ever a little bit of a question about it, and that was after the fact, was at one point in Nixon's last couple of days, they gave him the wrong nuclear codes because they were worried he might do that. But other than that, a couple of days, and now suddenly, there's a real question. Will the military do what the commander-in-chief says? History is on the side of yes.
Right.
Sanity is on the side of no. History is on the side of yes. Sanity is on the side of no. But we will see. And all I can base it on is my observations of what I've seen of the military here. And I will say this: if tomorrow there were a military coup and the military were to take over the U.S. government, it would be an improvement, as long as it weren't permanent.
Yeah, which is kind of
That would be-
ironic because you're an anti-establishment guy, and you're at the point now where I'll take the military establishment over whatever the hell this is, some mob.
Absolutely.
But I don't know. That's what
yeah.
I say. I think Trump's intelligent enough. You know, he's kind of like a gangster. He knows he's got to eliminate these people, so he puts in Michael Flynn's brother, gets rid of all the people, at least the majority of them. He's done it in the courts, so why wouldn't he do it in the military? We don't really know, right? I don't know. I know, Dave, you have had access to some military people, but
Right.
I wouldn't feel confident
No.
that the military
I
would go against him.
I don't think you can.
They're just not going to get the soldiers they want if there's a war. That's the
And
real,
again,
the rubber hits the
And
road.
where we started this little bit of a side conversation, but very important, is the fact that we are using a stockpile of weapons that A, cost a lot to replace, and B, we can't replace them as fast as we're using them. So what if another war breaks out? Now, probably, if I were China or I were Russia, and of course with Russia, you have to say, we don't know what the connections are between Putin and Trump. We know there's some connection, but we don't know what it is. I wouldn't take any action against the United States. Trump is doing the job for them.
Right, he's doing the job. Absolutely.
And so even when we emerge from this, and we will emerge, we're going to be severely, severely damaged.
Or will we emerge?
the-
You're saying, a lot of people say that we will
No,
emerge
we will.
from this.
No, we will emerge. I mean, when I say that,
I mean,
I'm
you're
talking
saying. I
about-
think you're saying that the Republicans won't have the appetite to take this that far, and eventually they'll say, "Look, we
yeah,
gotta
I'm
get
not saying it'll be. I'm not saying it'll be right away, but I couldn't see this lasting. Well, I'll be honest with you. I can't see it lasting past Trump, but it could. But it won't go on. I mean, J.D. Vance, Marco
Just
Rubio.
look at everybody around them. They're so incompetent and they're so ignorant. Nothing good could come out of any decision that they make. Like Judy just
That is
posted,
true.
Hegseth. I mean, honestly, first of all, I don't think Hegseth is really in control of military decisions, even though he's supposed to be, because I don't think Trump will let him, number one, and Hegseth couldn't make those kind of decisions. So what's he there for? And how about
He's there-
Cash-Patel? What's he know? He both these guys, you give them a drink and maybe they'll lighten up.
Well, I think what Trump saw in them was controllable people
Right.
and fealty, right? And I mean, could you see? I couldn't see Pete Hegseth or Kash Patel or Kristi Noem going back on Trump. I mean, they'll fade out. Kristi Noem. Although here's another one for you. Talk about things. Kristi Noem is refusing to leave the government house that was given to her when she was a cabinet member, and she's no longer a cabinet member, and she's just refusing to leave. Huh?
Right. Well, that I think I would suggest is that, and I think we've talked about this, is that the way that they're going to destroy themselves is going to be from within. It's not going to be us, where we get that, the magical votes
right.
and all that. They're going to tear each other apart. Where somebody's eventually going to say, we got to get a cadre of people here, and we got to get together. He's out of control, and they destroy each other.
And I think,
But I'm still waiting.
I might be wrong in this, but I don't think the Republicans, definitely in my lifetime, can get a senator as powerful as Mitch McConnell was. I don't see that.
You're talking about the future.
I'm talking about anywhere. I mean,
Until
within
they
my
do,
lifetime.
and I don't, never say never.
But I don't. Well, but the problem is the way the Senate's set up. You have to have seniority, and so he was, seniority, had a mission in life, which was, to stop Obama from doing anything, and to get a hold of the Supreme Court. He accomplished both.
I still, I mean, I get, I mean, because they're racist. I still can't understand what the hell are they so, you know, not enthralled, but imbued in this idea that Obama was the terrible. I mean, he still thinks Obama. I don't. What is wrong with these people?
You said it first. Part of it is racism. Part of it is fear of losing America.
Well, that's where we got to. That's a great point for tonight. This is why they are the way they. I'm talking about everybody. All these Republicans. They see the America of the past, and they see it slipping away. Their power slipping away. But I'm talking about their brains, Dave. I think that the idea that they see him as the one guy who can take them back to the past, as if that was so important. You know,
it is for them. It is for them. Also, you have to remember, and Hegseth is just a drunk. But if he has any theological
is a
background,
drunk, right? And so is Kavanaugh, probably.
He is a believer in the apocalypse, Revelation, end of times. I can bring it on, and there's a lot of that in the Republican Party. Now, how anyone, I'm reading a book now, and the first was a very lengthy chapter, which I was really glad to read, about Revelation and how bad it is, how badly it's been interpreted over the years. And of all the books of the Bible.
But how do you even, I'm sorry to say this, but you know what a psychosis is, right? It's just basically being outside of reality. And when you have ideas of angels, and I mean, I know, Dave, you're very tolerant of religion, but this is part of the problem that Hitchens had talked about with especially the really religious people, and this goes for all religions. You know, this isn't. I'm not talking about Christianity per se.
Right.
This is the kind of thinking that we make excuses for, and you can believe what you want, but when you go outside of reality, there is definitely something going on there that is a psychosis. That is the definition of psychosis.
And they would argue that you have a psychosis because faith is what you're lacking. Now, I'm going to side with you. I want reality, okay?
Well, yeah. If your audience is academics, you better be with me on that one. I'm not putting people down, and I don't put these people down. But some people are smart enough to know the difference. They're the ones that I get upset with.
I think what happens, as I try to sort through this, it is really hard. I really do believe this, Brian. I think it's very hard to be a good person and have tremendous power. People say with tremendous power comes, super responsibility.
So what you're really saying is that you just, in the end, we can't really trust human beings, and I understand, and I think that that's right.
Well, definitely, you can't trust those who would use something for power, and that is true in religion, government. Anytime you get that, I mean, a library board can even be, dictated by a bunch of people. School board certainly can be. But I just think but again, by the same token, I can't conceive of the United States without a government. I just can't. We're not capable of policing and doing so. The government has, are we, I mean, the idea of it is to get a good government. And right now, I feel we have the worst government we could have. I know there's always, Godzilla could come in. I mean, but I think really with the actors and the bad actors that you have right now with Trump and the idea of Trump being in charge should frighten anyone who has a brain.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't, Brian. It makes a third of America very happy. And why? We've touched on some of it tonight. They hate. Now, I know I've said this before, but it bears repeating, and so I think helps. I do not hate anyone. Now, I despise a lot of people. And you say, well, what's the difference? And I will tell you this. Hate, to me, eats inside of you, right? And it puts you, but if I despise, I know I'm better than you. and I'm looking down at you, and I will still try to stop you. Somebody said, well, that's just words. Well, words are important. Now back to this, as the clock winds down, a couple more things about the incident last night. What was it? Oh shit! Caroline Levitt said something about Trump's going to take shots, or Trump's going to take shots tonight. Now,
right.
Itself,
Shots are going to be
meant,
taken
right?
tonight. She said, exactly.
Yeah, and that would be that Trump was going to speak out against some report, which you would figure.
It's just ironic
boy,
when she said it. That's funny.
It was that very ill-timed. Okay, yes,
Right.
correct.
And those kind of things happen.
They do. I mean, but what happens now is with this believability gap. I mean, I can't believe anything the president says. Nothing.
Nothing.
I can't
Nothing.
believe anything.
You can
And that's
almost say that
how-
anything he says, it's probably the opposite.
I would say, well,
Or
people
something-
have joked about that, but
Like that.
what was it? What would WWJD? What would Jesus do? A lot of people say, turn around. What would Trump do? And do the opposite, supporting what you just said. Someday, with historians and psychologists, as we get better into brain science, maybe we'll be explaining.
And
Donald
at
Trump.
that point, I think hopefully you get better. Obviously with neurology, that people are going to understand more about the brain, why we think the way we do, and we can better police ourselves. But you still have to let people get to that point where you allow these people. We're going to have a Galileo situation, but it has to deal with neurology. Because at some point, like I said, look at,
no, you're right.
look at Google and YouTube. YouTube was initially going to be something that people could communicate, across vast distances. It's have their own way of doing this or that, and then Google takes it, and it's a rush to see who can get the most views, and obviously the most views get the most money. And this is where
there you are.
they're going to do the same thing with AI too, Dave. By the way, I know we're jumping subjects.
Oh no,
left and
it's
right.
going to be. I disagree with you. They're going to do worse with AI.
Oh, that's even well.
So
okay.
what you're saying on steroids?
What looks
Because
like
AI
something good is going to be, because the people who have, as you've been talking about, the schemers, these people who are just, you just can't trust them, what they're going to do with it. They're
Right.
They're intelligent, but they're just going to take everything for themselves, and this is just an awful future for us. And for anybody who thinks, well, that won't necessarily happen, look at the way it is now. I mean, I'm not just talking about Google and YouTube, just everything. I mean, if everybody out there could just think for a second, just put the TV on, and every 12 minutes you're going to see an ad of somebody trying to sell you something that you don't need. And it's just, this is the way we live our lives, just constantly. When we're little kids watching the Flintstones, you have to watch a commercial dealing with Captain Crunch cereal. Everybody's trying to sell you something, trying to tell you how to dress, how to look, how to speak.
And you know
It's
what's
madhouse.
it's funny, not funny. Like I said, I recently had a chance to spend, not me, Noni me, but with a group, spend 3 hours with James Carville. And it was one of the best 3 hours of my life. It really was. For anyone who doesn't know James Carville, in my estimation, he's the greatest political strategist of my lifetime. And one of the things that he said that I came to this realization a number of years ago is we all sell. We're all salesmen, you know what I mean, in some way. But he said, kind of make sure you're the salesman for the right thing, or the right way, or the right virtue. And I think that's the difference. AI is, got me back to AI. AI is just a thing. It's just a thing. A thing can't do anything until it's prompted, which means AI can be prompted well, and AI can be prompted.
Well, that is
poorly.
exactly what we're talking about. You had YouTube,
There
which
you
was something that was going to be free, basically. No ad, and look what we have now. Look, this is why you and I get 50 views for a show, and somebody else gets 20,000 because they show their breasts. I mean, that's it.
Well, let me ask you a question. Would you show your breasts?
I'll show my breath because it's banging. Okay, no, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Probably not more banging
No.
than anybody else's. But my point
I
is
know
this: we're outside the algorithm. We're not earning money for them, and that's what it's about. And this is This is the ugly face of capitalism, and I'm not talking as
Well,
a
let me ask you
communist
something.
or a socialist. I'm just saying this is what
I've
you sell your soul to the world.
I've always believed, since the late '60s, that we needed to find a system better than capitalism. What happens is, I've changed a little bit. We need to find something that humans can't pervert. It's again, the system is not bad. It's how it's perverted.
It's how
and
it's
used.
right. Like for example,
And-
he's going to save Spirit Airlines. He's going to give them $500 million at minimum, where
Right.
he doesn't want to give any money to the poor for healthcare, this or that, but he'll give it to
Yeah,
Spirit Airlines and let them piss it away.
Because there's some agenda that he has that he wants to do that. I was laughing here. Let me see if I can find it again now. From Rare Medium, his comment. He's literally going to declare himself the second coming by January. Sadly, that is not a joke. And Rare Medium, I don't know, maybe as recently as a couple Januaries ago. And I said, nah, you're going too far. Rare, I think you're right on. So I think
Right, and he'll have an evangelical
I mean,
that'll defend him.
it was it. Well, you saw his White House spiritual advisor said
She's
if
a
you
real
go
winner,
against-
isn't she?
Oh, she's horrible.
No, but that's what I'm talking about. Psychosis,
Well,
right there.
But think about that. All her non-sexual needs, she comes when she looks at how much power she has, right?
Well,
So-
I would, and don't fool yourself. She's probably, got her own issues sexually too. Like she probably, who knows what? I mean, I'm not trying to say I know for sure.
Well,
but
Brian,
usually
that's
there's
pretty-
something behind that. Just like with the
There's
altar
a
boys.
pretty
and
safe
stuff.
assumption we all have sexual issues. I mean, we do. Again, it's what you do with them. Do you bury them? Do you bring them out? What do you do with them? And I think what happens with Trump, and this is another example of what happened, it's very hard to have any type of positive feelings about the presidency, Donald Trump, and by extension, America right now. It's very hard. In other words, if you were to ask this way, would you support it? My answer would be 100%. No. Now, what would I do with that? I have a former student and his husband who are leaving the country and going to Madeira. Another friend who's going to leave the country and go to Morocco. I don't know that I would do that. But I mean, I know that this is not the America that was. I know it's not the America that could be. And I definitely know it's not the America that should be. So where do we start? One vote. Well, getting back, I mean, you said it, Brian. You said it for a long time. I don't think anybody should dispute it. You have to say, if we have the midterms, if they're allowed to be legitimate.
Or if they're legitimate too, that they could say, okay, we'll have them. But by the way, Dave, would you agree with me if he did cheat in this past election? Suppose we don't know what happened. If he did cheat, just like
Right.
with Russia,
Right.
Why would it be any different on this one? You know what I mean?
Oh,
The
it won't
attempt
be.
was
It
there.
won't be, Brian. Think about this. A number of people that I respect in terms of intelligence said that, yes, he has a power, but the main reason he wants to be president is as long as he's president, he does not go to prison. Well, if that's still the case, he ain't going to want to give up the presidency.
Yeah, he's the
And
last
so
person who's going to prison.
What will we do? And the other thing that I think concerns me a little bit too about America and where it's going is we've battered this all along. I don't know how shocked people will be if they see Trump's dick entering the anus of a 7-year-old boy. Will they claim it's AI?
Yeah, I mean,
No
look,
problem.
if they can, Dave, if they believe, look, if they kind of know, here are the facts. It's like saying, there's oxygen in the air and they don't want to accept it, or they don't accept the Earth is round. Mm-hmm. Would it even matter, Dave, if they can get their brains to jump and say, you know what, I'm going to believe what I'm going to believe. Why wouldn't they, Dave? I mean, you keep thinking, I'm not putting you, saying what you're saying is wrong.
I'm not
just saying
no,
this is something that there's a deep psychological problem, and I'm talking about human beings in general across the world, and this is why we're not going to be able to deal with it. We need the neurology to work for us, so people can finally say, "Oh, shit, that's what was wrong."
But it will, as long as there are people who will accept religion, science will always be in jeopardy.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the two butt heads. Now there are some, people that have tried to bring it together.
Right, but
I think
you didn't invent things with theology, though. That's the point. You can have a doctor who is religious, but they don't use theology to treat somebody.
And well, I'm going to make a prediction that we'll be talking about this for a while, this incident, as it's sorted out. There's just so many questions, and I still have a ton of questions about the Pennsylvania incident. It doesn't make sense. And this is one I would charge, being an ex-journalist. I don't understand. You couldn't do it as an independent journalist. It'd be really hard. But I don't understand why the Washington Post, well, I do, because they're kind of in bed with Trump now. But a paper that isn't, I don't know. I don't think New York, well, they're a little bit too. But somebody who has a staff, send your 4 best investigators.
How about the Inquirer? I mean, aren't they pretty decent?
Inquirer's pretty good.
But they're too small. Like they're not really in the national focus.
And that's it. But just to say, try to answer the questions. And there was something this week that came up right after this. They said, too, I hadn't really thought about. Have you ever heard Trump mention in any detail the assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania? And the answer is no. In passing, maybe, right? Like, this is the 3rd time somebody's tried to kill me or something like that. And he takes advantage of everything. So that also, I think, lends some credence to the fact that Butler was a staged event. At this point, I think I'm more convinced that Butler was staged than the incident the other night. But I'm not convinced the incident the other night. There are too many questions around it to say definitively. Having said that, we go to our closing question. I'm going to take my prerogative and do it first tonight. Are you more optimistic or more pessimistic than you were this time last week? More pessimistic.
Dave, I would say
it's been revealed.
Definitely more pessimistic.
It's been revealed that unless, as you pointed out, there's some deficiency in your brain, that we are beyond trouble.
And may I also add, Dave, I have to add this.
Sure.
Let's suppose, because again, we don't know exactly with the shooter. Let's suppose it was a shooter, because it could happen to a lot of people that hate him. But that's also something I don't like within our group of liberals, is that, like, don't feed them the food for them to continue and be violent. It's not going to pay off. It's going to hurt us in the end. You got to be reasonable and seem reasonable, because you can't beat him with the gun, because they've got him.
Yeah, that's true. The thing, though, Brian, this is so desperate times. I mean, I understand. I mean, you have friends. I have friends. We all have friends who are just, they're either devastated or they're just, they don't know what to do. And I understand that. What does well, I will tell you, if this was a real shooting, one American tried and failed. I mean, short of that, how does one person stop the president of the United States? They can't, except for assassination. And thankfully, they haven't succeeded, because as much as I despise Donald Trump, and there's nobody on the planet I despise more, I'd have 2 concerns. One, I do not think that violence is a solution. Number 1, philosophical. But number 2, it would make him a martyr.
Right.
And that's something you never want. You never want the bad guys to be a martyr. So maybe this week we'll find some details. But I would just say this weekend was bad for America.
Right. Well, let's leave it at that, Dave, and we'll continue this conversation, I'm sure, next week. Thank everybody for showing up. And, Dave, we'll fight the fight. But right now it doesn't look good. So
And a couple things. Thank you, everyone, for watching this show. Again, Brian and I talk about it differently, but I would assume, Brian, we pretty much agreed, correct, that we're going to be Sundays from
yeah,
here on
I
out.
think
Is
as
that
I close in, I look, I've got a lot of work to do before then, but I'm not quite as worried about how polished the plans are. I mean,
You
I do
shouldn't
my
be.
job. I'm
Yeah, well,
I'm already
I told you-
transitioning. Transitioning.
Yeah, and like I said, and I think, I mean, you know, I think again, Brian and I've talked about this a little bit too. Once he gets more time, we're going to do more with the show. Now, what that'll be, I don't really know. It'll always keep this format.
I know I'm
We're
going to be
not scripted.
thinking a lot more, Dave, outside the box. I mean, I
Well,
like using
sure.
technology. Just haven't been able to use it the last 5 years because of my job.
Well, no,
But
well,
this
but
is
now
going to
you
be
have to-
up. Somehow it's going to. We won't get any more viewers than we had before. But I am definitely
But you
going
know
to
what?
change
I
a
don't.
lot of things.
You know what? It's not just words. I appreciate, seriously, I appreciate the viewers we have
Right.
because it is something you make a conscious decision to do with no real reward.
And they
other than
show up
hanging
every
with
week too.
and yep, and we don't even give them a free T-shirt. But no.
No, we don't even sell merch.
But again, I think. Well, I know I'm just from my own standpoint. I'm very grateful for the show simply because it gives me a chance to vent. And I try not to vent wildly, but with some thought. But the idea of it is, for me, it's a release, and I hope it's for everybody else. Not necessarily the way, I was just spending some time with some people from Woodstock on that cruise, and they were saying, "Oh, it was so great. We found people like ourselves," which is, meaning hippies and free. We all know we're out there, but this is a place where you can come. So again, I would ask you, if you like the show, maybe ask a good friend who doesn't take care of. This is an inside. Doesn't take care of 10 cats or 52 cats, but has some time on Sunday. Everybody's welcome, as long as you subscribe to the theory that Donald Trump is bad for you, bad for me, bad for America, and bad for the world.
And that's how we're going to. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you next time.